Shabbat Shalom. What a wonderful warm day it is today. Inside here we have probably 28 centigrade. Well, have a look what kind of courtesy there is for you, because there is ventilation for you. We cannot afford any air conditioning so far. It's okay, it's okay. I'm very glad to be here today with you. And it doesn't really matter that it is warm today, because the Lord is here with us today. We are in His presence. And we can only imagine that when Yeshua was teaching in Israel, it was even warmer, especially in this time of day or time of year, so we don't have to complain, even if it is kind of unusual. I have to travel by plane often. Do you know what I like least during all these flights? It is the moment when you are in the airplane and it begins to shake, and these are called turbulences. So these are winds, streams, and then the airplane is getting into these air holes and the plane begins to shake. And with me, usually it happens when I'm on a long distance flight, and usually when the meal to eat is brought. And then I ask myself, why is the turbulence occur while I want to eat? And rather than being able to eat relaxed, I have to keep my cup in my hands, or if I want to sleep, you just start sleeping, and then this begins. And this is what I don't like at all. Because I'm, in one way, I fear a bit. And the more often you fly and the more often you get into interesting situations during the flight. I know that Ina, Sveta, Andrei and I myself, we once flew from Berlin to Brussels about 20 years ago. At that time we started still at the Tempelhof airport, so we were taking off, the airplane is gaining height. And when we had reached a certain altitude, the engines failed. And there was a certain silence in the aircraft, in the airplane. I don't know whether Ina, Andrea or Sveta do remember this incident, but I do remember it very well. It was very quiet. And then we went down, and very quickly. This was a very unpleasant feeling. And then the engines started again. This was probably 1 or 2 seconds. For me, it looked like eternity. For me, this was like an hour. And another incident. And again, it had to do with Brussels. So we started to descend, and I'm looking outside of the window, and at the same time I see that another airplane is coming as well to final approach. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Who will arrive first? And we get closer and closer. And this is when our airplane started to gain altitude very quickly again. Obviously, lots were cast in order to determine who is going to go first on the final approach. And another case or incident. One time we flew out of Sofia, this is the capital of Bulgaria, and the departure was delayed. So we should start very quickly. Or should depart very quickly. And the people are still walking around in the aisle of the aircraft in order to take their seats. But the aircraft had already started moving. Not all of everybody had succeeded to put on the seat belts, and we started to take off. And then the airplane starts to shake. And once we had gained altitude, the flight attendants started to explain how to fasten the seat belts and how to use the oxygen masks. After that incident, I wasn't able to fly for about half a year. I cancelled all my future flights, but already this had been a long time ago, maybe 19 years ago. And then I got used to it. And I keep flying. But nevertheless, when these turbulences occur, then I feel very uncomfortable. Because I understand that being up there in this altitude, I cannot do anything. I cannot control my life. And I cannot choose whether I continue to live or whether I will die. But I'm flying and I'm dependent in everything to the technical stuff and to these people flying this aircraft. And with the car it is different because I can make use of the brakes. I can drive to the right and even stop at the extra lane. So I have control of this box out of metal, and this is easier for me. When I'm on my way by ship, then I understand that I can at least jump into the water if something is happening and I know how to swim. And if I have a life vest, then this is even better. So I have a plan of what I can do, and this I am able to control. But traveling by plane, then I understand if something happens, then I understand that these oxygen masks or these life vests will not be of any help for me. I will very quickly see the Messiah. But actually I would like to see him when I think it is right to see him, and not just if a pilot made a mistake or a technical thing did not work, but rather when I decide when to see the Messiah, because I want to have control over my life. I love to do this, and this is easy for me. This is how we are created from the beginning. This is our strong suit, or our long suit. We have our own will. And we think that we have control over our life in one direction or the other. We can use the brakes, we can steer with the steering wheel, or steer with the steering wheel. We can use the emergency brake and maybe something else. This is our long suit, our strong part, and this gives us the quality of being creative or being inventive. We are made or created also to serve God in one way or the other. But nevertheless, this was our problem as well in the beginning. Do you remember how we wanted to eat from this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, in order for us to know what is right and what is wrong, in order that we are able to control? It brought the fall and brought problems. It is good, but it is also dangerous. But you know, what we have in our head determines as well how we live. A classical book in Russian literature has a figure that speaks in the story. Destruction or chaos begins in our head. If we see that there is a great chaos somewhere or a disorder, then it tells us automatically something about the person having this disorder, this chaos. Our awareness, our knowledge determines how we live, and our mind and our soul determine this. And therefore, if we want to understand how to live our lives, then we have to bring a certain order into our head. And I will not tell you something new now, but today I want to underline that in this world everything is controlled by God. And in this world there is nothing that we as humans can determine for ourselves, because to us nothing does actually belong. It sounds funny, but from a biblical point of view, this is how it is. When we talk about our personal property, then this usually has to do with material goods, for example, money. And people always have the thought that your own money belongs to the person, at least if you have a capitalistic order. This is my private property. In socialism, it's a little bit different. Everything belongs to everybody. And the state or the government determines to whom this is given or attributed. So, in general, it is either general for everybody or privately owned, but the person thinks that he determines that it is his. So I will begin with money. Let us open Psalms. Psalm 24. Verse 1.
Господня земля и что наполняет ее, вселенная и все живущие на ней.
Psalm 24, verse 1, a Psalm of David. The earth is the Lord's, and all it contains, the world and those who dwell in it. So, to whom does everything belong to? So, all of this, whose property is it, including us? And this, what we are sure that this belongs to us. I know that for us it seems to be different, because we think this is our wallet and our money. This is my clothing and my apartment. This is my bank account. This is my car. This is my family. These are my children. This is my husband. This is my wife. To me it seems that all of this belongs to me. But if we look at it from the perspective of this Hebrew book, then it does not belong to us, it belongs to him. And in order to understand this verse, we do not have to study a lot of theology. We don't even have to be aware very well in the rabbinic theology or knowing about the church fathers. Everything is clear and precise, And every one of us should also easily understand it. Let us have a look at Psalm 51.
Это 49 будет в русской Библии. Итак, Псалом 49.
Okay, Psalm 50.
С 10 по 12 стихи.
Also Psalm 50, Verse 10 bis 12.
Psalm 50, verses 10 to 12.
Господь говорит: ибо мои все звери в лесу, и скот на тысячи гор. Знаю всех птиц на горах и животных на полях передо мною. Если бы я был голоден, то не сказал бы тебе, ибо моя вселенная и все, что наполняет ее.
Der Herr spricht, denn mir gehören alle Tiere des Waldes, das Vieh auf 1000
For the Lord says, for every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know every bird of the mountains, and everything that moves in the field is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine, and all it contains. So, to who does everything belongs to? All of this is His. He does not even have a need, because it is all His property. In the context, it is said that He has created all of this. He has created you, He created me. He created the gold, He created the birds, He created food, and He also created what man should not eat. All of this is His. And when we read this, so what does belong to us? This watch? No? Maybe this one as well? Jewelry, clothing, the chairs, furniture, the car, the apartment. What is our property? What is ours? From the perspective of this Jewish book, absolutely nothing. So why do we have it in our possession? Why is it that I can be here wearing this shirt? This is called grace. He gave me the opportunity to make use of something. Let us open briefly the book of Haggai. Ziemlich am Ende. In chapter 2 of Haggai, in this heat it even is difficult to open the pages properly. The prophet Haggai, chapter 2. In verse 8, Prophet Haggai, chapter 2, verse 8, the silver is mine and the gold is mine, declares the Lord of hosts. So, who does this belong to? What is ours in this matter? So this ring I'm wearing, which is actually made of gold, does it belong to me? No, because all of the gold belongs to him. Do you understand the meaning of all of that? Our brain has to get adjusted in a certain way. If we understand, or when we understand that actually nothing belongs to us, it will even be easier for us to live, because the one who does not possess anything, he cannot lose anything. So if it is not our gold, then we will not lose it if we don't have anything. But may it be in your possession. It is only about that to remember that it belongs to him. Everything that we possess belongs to him. At the same time, it is nowhere said in the Bible that money is the evil, and it is nowhere said that gold is the evil. But it is said that the love of money, this is evil. To possess money, to have money, is not bad. To love money, this is sin. To be grievous, this is bad. To possess gold, this is not bad. If God gives you the grace, then you may possess it. But do not start to think it is yours, because it will not always be yours. Because the moment will come, like Job said, I came naked into this world, and naked I will depart from this world. Is that right? This ring I will not take with me to that place, and my wallet also will remain here. And when I will be there, I will not be interested any longer what happens to my bank account. I will not even think about my retirement money, my pension. It will not be of any trouble for me. This is only for being here, but it does not belong to me. It continues because gold will never remain in the hand of just one person. It will be taken from this one person in order to be given to another, as God determines what is going to happen with that. Yeshua once told a story. Our Messiah told a parable about a person who was rich. He had a lot of land and he was a rich person. And in 1 year he had a great big harvest. So he gathered this harvest. New buildings were built, new barns, storage places. And he said, now I can tell my soul, I can say to my soul, rejoice, my soul, now you've got everything. God told him, exactly in this night, tonight, you are going to die. So to who will everything belong to that you have gathered? The meaning is not to gather as much as possible here, but over there. Because to who will this be given? What we now can use, make use of it, use it, but be aware that it does not belong to you. And Yeshua often talks about this. For example, in the story of the person who could not say farewell to his property in order to follow after Yeshua. The meaning is in the parable. Those who do not have property cannot lose anything. It does not belong to you. Do you remember when Yeshua said, make use of the unrighteous mammon, or make yourself friends or friend with the unrighteous mammon? It is about that the owner of a house he took what was his master's in order to make others have a better living. And when he had made good to them, they as well made it good for him. But he did not use that others would be good to him, because the person is no good. For example, imagine if someone would take my money and doing good to others. He will be thanked for, and he will be done good. And what will I think of that? I would think this is unjust, because it is my money. So he did everything on my account. So why did Yeshua actually praise him? Why did he bring him as an example? Because he was talking about eternity. About being merciful. And about that making use of money for those who have a need for eternity. But to whom do all these things belong to? It belongs to him, to God. Do you understand that? If someone is making use of my money, then it is actually also not my money, it is his money. Even more, if I donate something to someone, then I do not even give to him actually what belongs to me. These are not my 100 euros, these are his 100 euros. If we do something good with our money, then we do it with this manager who did not take what was his, making use of it, but we make use of what is God's, for the honor of God and for the well-being of people. And in this way we are to act, and this is the way how we should live.
Верующие в Иешуа говорят о десятине.
Aufsprechen die Gläubigen an Jeschua über den Zehntel.
Often believers in Yeshua speak about tithing
Und zitieren dann aus
and quote from the prophet of Malachi, bring the tithing to me. And they talk about the 10% of your income. So I have given it, and now I can be relaxed. But nowhere it is said that tithing is good, but not to tithe is robbery or theft. But to only give the tithing does not mean that you have done something good. You are not a thief because you didn't steal from God. And nevertheless, you are not a spiritual warrior or a spiritual giant, because it does not even belong to us. He does give it to us so that we make use of it. And it is the same with the land of Israel. To who does this land belong? It belongs to God. Who does He give it to? In order to make use of it. And in Israel, He gave it to the Jews. Some may have private land here in Germany. And it is also written in this certain book. So the name of the owner is written there. So like the name Max Mustermann. The name of the owner is written in this book. And often there is also the bank mentioned. If you have had to take a loan from a bank, but this book, makes it your own. But this does not make it your own property, because it belongs to the Lord. It is only yours as the laws of today state. And maybe there's a revolution tomorrow, and then it will not belong to you anymore. And you want to take, and you will take this book in order to start a fire in your oven at home. You may have the feeling that it is your land, but tomorrow there is a new government, and you might forget about your land. It often happened already in the history. There is nothing that belongs to you, and there is nothing that belongs to me. There is only something given to us because of the grace of God, and something else is given to us, time. We think that we have time. We think that we do have this time. In the second epistle of Peter, something is written. For God, 1 day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like 1 day. So God is not in time. He is the creator of time. He is the one who controls time. So whose time is it? Oh, today I have 3 hours to relax a little bit. I can manage time that well. I run everything according to schedule. Those who like having a schedule, they are very much upset and having stress when plans change. But from another view, it is also normal because we make plans according to how we think it is right. But He determines that the time belongs to Him. And even our time here on earth is determined by Him. 24 hours a day, these are not our 24 hours. These are His 24 hours. Our body, does it belong to us? First, from a biblical view, our body belongs to our spouse, either husband or wife. This is how it is written in the Bible. So if you are married, then you don't even possess yourself any longer, even from a human point of view, but even more. Even our bodies belong to Him, to God. He created them. He made us this way. Of course, people explain to us how it is genetically made, but I will not going to explain it to you, the science of genes. I will only tell you what is written in this Jewish book, the Bible. Everything belongs to Him. Our souls, who gave them? He will. Who will take them back? He will. And exactly in the moment when He thinks it is the right moment. What do we actually possess? Our children. To who do they belong? They are God's children. They are not our own. They are His possession. And He have entrusted them to us. There is nothing what is in our own possession. All of this is His, belongs to Him. I come to the conclusion. Everything that we possess in this life, everything where we have the feeling it belongs to us, it actually all belongs to Him. Everything belongs to Him. May it be money, may it be our car, our apartment, our land, our children, our time, everything that we could name, even our destiny, everything lies in His hands. It all belongs to Him, and He gave it to us to make use of it. Everything that we say is ours, it is only ours in the sense of we understanding that it belongs to Him. And that we will treat it in that way. So the story with the aircraft and the turbulences, I'm afraid if things like this happen, I want to steer, direct my life. I want to control my time. I want to control my finances. I want to control my body. I want to be able to control my soul. I want to control everything that I have in my life, but I understand that I cannot do it, because all of this is His. all of this is in His hands.
ist auf seine Gnade
And the only way out is to fully trust in His grace, to be in a good relationship with Him, to live properly, and to have fellowship and be in touch with Him in Yeshua the Messiah. Thanks to Him that Yeshua died and rose again for us. We, together with you, are owners of that nothing belongs to us. So let us make use of this in wisdom and with understanding God.